Hey, welcome to another episode of Half Shirt Will Travel with Wendell. Drinking a Negroni today. Negroni is a fantastic pre-dinner cocktail, highly recommended. One of the easiest drinks in the world to make. It is simply 1 part gin, 1 part Campari, 1 part sweet vermouth. Campari is probably the key ingredient. It gives it sort of a bitter texture, so you're not drinking this incredibly sweet drink, even though the shiny colors makes it look like you've got some sort of a pretty sweet cocktailish little thing. It's got more bite to it than that, something I really like. Again, great pre-dinner cocktail. Now, the thing with this is, as easy as this is to make, again, 1 part gin, 1 part Campari, 1 part sweet vermouth, add a little orange peel. Okay, the orange peel gives it a little bit of a citrusy zing. You want to twist it really good, express that oil on there, rub it around a little bit, drop with a nice big fat ice cube in it. Again, get a really nice clear ice cube. In a future episode, we'll probably talk about ice cubes, but the important thing is, the clearer your ice cube, the longer it takes to melt, so it doesn't water down your drinks. However, we're not here to talk about Negronis. We're here to talk about a variation on this drink. Now, if you don't like gin, I'm sorry for your sad times. Remember, gin is what vodka wishes it could be. But for those out there who are just simply not going to get down with the gin thing, no problem. You can make a Negroni with vodka. We call it a Negrovski. You can make it with tequila. You can make it with bourbon. You can make it with rye. Just simply substitute the gin, always keeping it 1 part alcohol, 1 part Campari, 1 part sweet vermouth. I have come up with a little variation on this thing that I think you're going to like. But first, let me tell you about this shirt. This is a very faithful reproduction by Avanti of the Montgomery Clift death shirt. If you've ever watched From Here to Eternity, and if you haven't, by the way, again, you're missing out. You need to watch that movie. Montgomery Clift dies at the end of it. He's wearing a shirt just like this, so it's referred to as the Montgomery Clift death shirt. I'm not sure who refers to it other than me, but I'm sure somebody does. Anyways, I did some searching long and hard, took a while, and I finally found the Avanti remake of this classic shirt. High quality, silk. Not only does it have the vanishing pocket, we've got the wooden buttons, and we've got a pattern that continues all the way across the shirt, wraps all the way around. This is a true sign of class because tailors have a hard time making shirts like that. Matching it all up means you waste a lot of fabric just to get it right. This again dates back to the brilliance of these Chinese tailors in the 30s when Aloha shirts were first taking off. Now, as you can see, this one also has this little collar tab here. I'm not sure how well you can see it, but we'll get some photos, we'll show a close-up. This is to button the top button. You do that mainly for hanging it so it doesn't stretch the shirt out. Again, something that you want to look for when you're seeking out a good quality Aloha shirt. Collar button, always a bonus. Okay. Matched placket, carrying it around, definitely hard to come by. You want that. Your shirt, the pattern should always match the pocket. You should not be able to obviously see that pocket. If somebody is cheated, just taking another piece of the fabric, sewed it on, it doesn't line up, stay away. You don't want that shirt. It's bad. Also, I'm wearing a reproduction. A lot of my wardrobe are reproductions, and I have a couple reasons for that. Many people collect true classic shirts from the 30s, 40s, 50s. I have a few myself, but not many, because when you've got something that you've dug up from the 30s, 40s, and 50s, you kind of don't want to wear it. It becomes a museum piece. I want to wear my shirts. So I find modern reproductions that are true to form. They maintain the quality, they maintain classic patterns, and I don't feel guilty about wearing it. I'm not going to leave this stuff to a museum. Matter of fact, I don't think any in the family even wants one of these things, so I just wear them, and I wear them, and always dry clean them. Make sure you dry clean your Aloha shirt. If you're washing it and hanging out to dry, you have failed. Don't fail. Be true, be kind to your Aloha shirt. As you can see from this pattern, wraps around. It depicts Diamond Head. with the palm trees in the front. The shirt depicts palm trees and Diamond Head is in the background. Now that we've talked about that, I can tell you I want to get into this new drink. I sort of stumbled upon this idea. If you're familiar with an Old Fashioned, and anybody who watches Mad Men certainly ought to be, Old Fashioned is one of the oldest classic bourbon drinks that's been around for who knows how long. There's many debates on where it even began. The premise of the Old Fashioned is you take a sugar cube, you douse it in bitters, soak it, muddle it really well, add a splash of water. I prefer club soda. Then you're going to add in maybe just a little dab of some cherry juice from your cocktail cherries. You can do anything. Always make sure you've got an orange peel in there. Some people use an orange wedge instead. I'm not so much fan of that, but you do want to garnish it with a good cocktail cherry. So it's bourbon. Usually I use a 3-ounce pour. Again, a little splash of club soda. But first, muddle that sugar cube really well in bitters. Now, what's an Old Fashioned got to do with a Negroni? Well, let's get started. In my various adventures, I stumbled across these sugar cubes. They're pre-doused and treated so that you don't have to do anything other than mix it with the bourbon and go. Pretty cool, not a lot of fun to make. The sugar cube, if you can see it, because of the bitters and the things they've treated it with, is actually almost black. Let me see if I can get up close here. I'll show you this. You got this black sugar cube, okay? So what I wanted to do, as opposed to order more and more of these all the time, I set out to make my own version of this. So what I want to do is start the process of making an Old Fashioned, and then we're going to switch, and it's going to become a Negroni. So let's start with this. I want you to note the Negroni. This bright red color. Again, clear ice cube. Ice cube almost vanishes in the drink. There it is. Now it's gone. Just like that shirt pocket. Now there you see it, now you don't. Okay? You got to have that ice cube. But the Negroni is sort of a bright red. And that mostly comes from the Campari and the sweet vermouth. Okay? So what we're going to do is get something with a little more texture to it and a little deeper color. So I use Demerara sugar cubes. A regular sugar cube will work, but these Demeraras are pretty good. You take the Demerara sugar cube. We're going to use classic Old Fashioned bitters. Now, these bitters, as you see, I'm being pretty generous with that. These bitters, aromatic bitters, these are the traditional recipe. They're very dark. Comes out deep dark red. This is going to give better color to our drink later. So we start out with that. Now we're going to muddle that. We're going to muddle it really well. Go. Okay, we've got that going. If you don't muddle it really well, you're just going to have a lot of ground sugar laying at the bottom of your glass. You don't want that. Okay. Next, we're going to take our 1 part gin. I'm going to use 1.5 ounces. And I'm going to swap up. Instead of that sweet vermouth, we're going to use Lillet Rouge. Sorry, Lillet Rose. Okay. It's a sweet wine. Makes an awesome substitute for sweet vermouth. I ended up with this by accident. I was trying to buy some Lillet Blanc. It's a white wine version, and that's a good substitute for regular dry vermouth for your martinis. So I'll get into that drink at a different time. But I ended up buying this bottle by accident and didn't know what to do with it. Started experimenting. So I swap it for the sweet vermouth. Now what happens is the Lillet Blanc is a little lighter in color. Sweet vermouth tends to be just a bit darker. And then, of course, we're going to add a dose of Campari. Now, I'm going to walk over and show this to the camera so we can get a good idea of what we got going on here. As you can see, it's already taken on a slightly darker hue. And that goes back to those darker sugar cubes. And using those bitters. Now we've taken that, we're going to stir, we're going to stir, we're going to stir. We want to mix that up really well. Pour it into our classic rocks glass. And wait, we're not done. We're going to take an orange peel. We're going to peel off a nice fat piece of this. There we go. Nice fat piece of orange peel. And for aesthetics, we're going to trim that orange peel. So I shave these sides off. Put a little diagonal slash again across the end. We've got this. Now, the next thing you want to do, you want to warm that orange peel up just a little bit. This helps release the oils in the orange. We're going to give it a good twist to express that orange oil. We're going to swirl it around the glass. We're going to drop in a nice, fat, clear ice cube. And now what we've got is an old-fashioned Negroni. Here's a traditional Negroni. It's a beautiful shade of red. The old-fashioned Negroni comes out a bit darker. And oh yeah, a lot more texture. That sugar cube, the bitters, it helps fight down the bitterness of the Campari quite a bit. Again, I like the color. I like the depth of that. It really does help that ice cube disappear. And yeah, adds a little bit of sweetness. The Lillet Rosé cuts down on the sweetness that you get from the sweet vermouth. So we've lightened up the sweetness on that level, but we've added the sugar cube. This way we balance out the sweetness. Also, it's leveled out that bitterness of the Campari, so you get a really smooth, clean thing. But most importantly, you've got that gin. The gin, based on the juniper and aromatics, just adds a texture to this, a level to this. Yeah, try that on your palate. I'm getting all sorts of flavors going on here. Again, not too sweet, nice lead-in to a really great meal. I'd like that before a pasta dish, any Italian dish. This would be great to have before that. You have this, then with your pasta dish or your Italian dish, then you go with a nice wine. Then you can come up with a dessert cocktail afterwards. Depending on how good the wine is, you may want to just stick with the wine through dessert. Of course, those of us with a little more cultivated taste might go back to the Negroni, or as I call it, the Old Fashioned Negroni, or you may want to get into a brandy or something like that. Depends on your dessert. So I'm going to finish up by showing you again a comparison. This is classic Negroni, highly recommended, easy to make, 1 part gin or alcohol of your choice, 1 part Campari, 1 part sweet vermouth, orange peel. Okay. Then we've got the Old Fashioned Negroni. Again, 1 part gin, substitute it for vodka if you must, or tequila, whatever you want to go with. But again, gin is your traditional Negroni drink. And I always say start with the tradition before you start branching out. Don't be afraid of gin. Gin is your friend. So you've got 1 part gin, 1 part Campari, 1 part Lillet Rosé. Mix this with Demerara sugar cube that's been muddled in bitters. And don't go with orange bitters or flavored bitters. They add too many levels of flavors going on. This brings out, it's fairly pure drink. You've got 3 basic things. The sugar adds texture and the bitters add color, but it doesn't overwhelm the drink. So with that in mind, master your Negroni and then experiment with your Old Fashioned Negroni. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. This has been another episode of Have Shirts, We'll Travel with Wendell. If you want more of my thoughts and insights on Aloha shirts, cocktails, gear, tools, or anything else I may think of, please like and subscribe. See you in the next episode of Have Shirts, We'll Travel.